James or Jim Morris, Morris.
What is your birthday?
October 29th, 1935.
Hey, you are young.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
How old are you now? 85?
I'm 85.
Yes. You look great, sir. And where were you born?
I was born in a small town in southern Illinois called Royalton.
Could you spell it?
Royalton,
Yep. Illinois.
Illinois.
Illinois. And tell me about your family background when you were growing up. Your father, your mom, and your siblings.
I really can't remember because the day after Pearl Harbor, my parents left me and my brother with my grandmother, and that's where we stayed during the whole war. They left us, went to Chicago. My parents did. And I never lived with them again after that.
Just left?
Just left. I lived with my grandmother until just before the war ended. And then I moved in with an aunt who raised me until I graduated out of high school in 1953.
1953, you graduated high school. Where?
A little town called Hurst Bush, 2 words, Illinois.
And let me ask you this question. During your high school days, okay, or when you were growing up, did you know anything about Korea, where Korea is in the map, or did you learn anything from the school about Korea?
You know, we didn't. This was just a small high school. I didn't know anything about Korea at all. I knew we were in war, but I didn't know what it was all about or anything.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know where Korea was.
You didn't know even in the map, right?
No, we didn't. We didn't have a map.
What about the history class? Did teacher talk about Korea at all?
No.
How about China or Japan?
Japan, because we had been with war with Japan.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about Japan, but I didn't know Korea was just over the sea from Japan.
Okay, so when you graduated from high school in 1953, what did you do?
What did I do?
Yeah, after high school.
I joined the Air Force directly out of high school.
So when was it?
I joined, let's see, I graduated in May, June, July. It was about July of 53 that I went to my recruiting office and I joined the Air Force. And it took me just a few weeks before I shipped out I took my basic training up in Sampson Air Force Base.
Where?
Sampson Air Force Base.
Where was it?
It was in Geneva, New York.
Ah, yeah. That's where I came from Syracuse.
Really?
Yeah. So Sampson, Sampson, right?
Mm-hmm.
And how long did you get the basic military training?
13 weeks.
Yeah.
Well, I say 13 weeks. It was about the end of December. It was before Christmas because we went home for Christmas.
And what did you learn there?
In basic training,
Yeah.
boy.
Did you learn how to fly?
Oh no, no. Basic training just learned military
Drill.
jargon. You know what they say and what they do, how you do it, how to salute,
Yep.
and this type of thing. And we went on bivouac, and just a bunch of stuff that I didn't really know anything about at the time, you know.
But when you joined the Air Force in July of 1953, you already knew that the Korean War was broken out.
Oh, yes.
What do you know? Anything about Korean War at the time? At the time.
Not really. I just knew we were in war with Korea, and I had to get my parents' signature to go in the Air Force.
Mm-hmm.
Even though I didn't live with them, they agreed to sign for me to go in. They didn't want to because they knew about the Korean War, and they was afraid I might go into Korea. And I did.
Mm-hmm.
But I got to Korea after.
After that.
Yeah.
Were you afraid? I mean, the war ended in July 27 of 1953, so war ended, but were you afraid to go to Korea?
Yes, I was.
Why?
I had heard so much about it, you know.
Tell me, what did you hear about the Korean War?
Well, that after the war, after the shooting stopped, North Korea, some North Koreans stayed in the South,
I see.
and I was afraid even to go to bed at night sometimes. But there was nothing really to be afraid of, I don't think.
Right. When did you leave for Korea? From where?
I left from, I took my basic training in Keesler Air Force Base.
Could you spell it?
Keisler.
I think it's K-double-E.
Is it E-double-E? Keesler.
Keesler, okay, Air Base. Where was it?
It was in Biloxi, Mississippi.
Mississippi. And what kind of training did you get from there?
I was a ground radio operator.
Uh-huh.
I learned Morse code. We learned a lot about radio, and
Yep. So Morse code, how was it?
it came, you know, it took us a while to learn it, but it was, I still today learn it, I remember it.
Any interesting episode about training on the Morse code?
No, this was in Mississippi, you know, so no, there was no episode of any kind.
Okay. And from when did you leave for Korea?
I left to Korea. Let's see, I went home to my aunts from Keesler, and I left. I'm trying to think. I was 18 at the, it's hard
Yeah,
to
you were
remember.
18. You were 18. You were 18-year-old.
Let's see, I was 17, and then I turned 18, and as a matter of fact, I turned 18 when I got to Korea.
Oh,
So I was there about August. I got there in August, I think, or September.
of 19.
54, 53, 54.
54. So you were arriving in Korea August of 1954.
Mm-hmm.
Where did you arrive?
The big air base.
Air Base Gimpo.
Kimpo Air Force Base.
So did you took flight from?
I took a ship out of San Francisco.
Mm-hmm.
I went from Chicago to San Francisco, took a ship to Yokohama,
Yokohama.
and from Yokohama, we took by train into Japan to catch a flight, and we flew to Korea.
Oh, so from Japan to Korea, you took a flight.
Right,
So you landed in Gimpo Airport
Kimpo Air
in
Force.
August of 1954.
In August or September,
Okay.
because it took us almost a month on the ship to cross the.
Tell me, you didn't know anything about Korea before when you were in high school,
No,
and you didn't know where Korea was in the map.
no.
When you landed for the first time in Korea at the Gimpo Airport, what was your image of Korea? How did you feel? Tell me the detail, honestly.
When we got off the flight, they took us by truck over to the air base. I mean, over to where we were stationed, the headquarters of the 1993rd WCS squadron. I'm going to be honest with you.
Yes.
It was the worst smelling place I had ever seen. And it was dark when we got in, so it was the next day before I saw anything. But we were on the air base at that time, so we didn't see any destruction or anything until we went into Yangdong, a place called Yangdong-po.
Yeongdeungpo, yes.
And
Go ahead.
I've never seen such filth and destruction in all my life. I think that's what scared me the most, seeing all that stuff. That
What was the source of smell?
oh,
Is it human waste or what was it?
it was human waste for one thing. I'll be honest with you.
Yes.
We were walking down the street one day, and there was a woman who had died sometime before that, just laying on the sidewalk. Nobody had picked her up, took her any place or anything. But she was dead. And that smell, a smell of kimchi. Oh, that was terrible.
Terrible. Because you never had anything like that, kimchi,
No.
before, right?
No,
Yeah. Any other thing that you still remember when you walking along the street in Yeongdeungpo?
just the destruction. Buildings, bombed out buildings. We went from Yangdong-po, we drove a Jeep to Seoul, and everything, there was nothing that wasn't damaged or and we went to the American Embassy there, but we looked all over Seoul, and there was just bombed out buildings after buildings.
What were you thinking when you saw those? What were you thinking? Be honest.
Well, I had never seen anything like that in my life, so I was petrified, really horrified that I'd never seen people live like that, and
But you didn't live a rich life here either, right? When you were in the United States, when you were growing up, you were not living rich life, right? Luxurious, no.
oh no.
But when you saw Korea,
Oh, that was, I felt lucky because that was just something you hardly ever saw, you know. I'd never seen it in the States. I'd like to go back a little ways.
Yes.
When I got to Korea and we landed in Kimpo. The next day, the air base had been guarded by the 1st Marine Division, and they guarded the air base. The very next day after I got there, the Marines pulled out,
Why?
and we had to guard our own air base. So I pulled guard duty several nights. We used to took turns, you know. But here I was, an 18-year-old, thrown into something like this, and I was afraid of being shot. There was like I said, the shooting had already stopped, but they used to throw rocks at us.
Oh, who?
I don't know who it was, whether it was the ROK or whether it was the North Koreans. But the North Koreans used to steal trucks, go into the flight line where the planes were stored, just to steal gasoline.
Oh,
And we just had to guard the outside, the perimeter, the fence. And I did that until, well, I was there about three or 4 months. They needed a radio operator in another, it was a little island off the coast of Korea. It must have been close to the DMZ, but we were out in the ocean, and
백령도. Does that ring the bell?
yes,
Yep.
yes, and we didn't pull guard duty there because the Army was there. But there was 4 radio operators and 4 weathermen on that island, and we would send weather to the planes as they would, you know, fly over, or if they needed to know where the weather was, you know, we
Yeah.
used to. But that's what I did while I was in Korea.
Uh-huh. So what was your unit?
It was the 1993rd,
1993
93 AA CS Squadron.
Squadron. What's CS?
It was what?
What is a CS? CS. What does that stand for?
1993rd AA CS Squadron.
Communication?
It was the communications.
Okay. And what was your rank at the time? Private?
No, I was, at the time, I was Airman 2nd class. No, Airman 3rd class. I only had 1 stripe.
And you were a radio operator, right?
Right.
Right. Any episode you remember that you pick up anything about North Korea or anything like that?
I remember when I was stationed on that island, we could see the North Korean planes take off and land.
Oh,
But the only episode we ever had was one night they put us on standby. There was a submarine just off the coast of this little island. And the Army put us on alert, told us to stand by, don't go to bed. And it stayed there. It was on top of the water for a long time, and then it went under and left, and we didn't see it again. So the alert was called off.
There was a enemy submarine.
We don't know. We think it was.
Uh-huh.
The Army thought it was.
I see. Were you scared?
Yes. To be honest with you,
Yeah.
yes.
You know, I know Baekneung-do, and we still have a radio and, you know, all this, what is it, the radar.
They had a big
Facility.
radar
Yeah.
site. Yes.
But how was the life there? Where did you sleep? What did you eat? How was life there in Baekneung Island?
We didn't have any lights that I know of, except we had gas lanterns in our tent where we stayed.
So you sleep in the tent.
You know, it was a, what do you call it?
Quonset?
Quonset hut. And we had gas lanterns for light, and that was
How about food?
food.
Yeah, was it hot food or was it all sea ration?
No, it was hot food. The Army let us use their. In fact, we went to their
Mess hall?
chow hall, mess hall, to eat. We had breakfast, lunch, and dinner at the Army mess hall.
I see. Do you remember how much you were paid monthly?
Yeah,
How much?
$90 a month.
$90 per month. Any combat pay or anything like that? Extra? No?
Not that I know of.
So what did you do with the $90?
Sent it home mostly.
Home,
Sent most of it.
home to whom?
At the time, my mother, I wanted her to save it for me so I could, when I got home, I wanted to buy a car.
Uh-huh. So $90. And you didn't gamble? You didn't drinking?
Oh, no.
You didn't drink?
No, I didn't.
Oh,
I've never drunk.
really?
No.
You are too sober.
No, my dad was an alcoholic, and I saw him die
Oh,
because of alcoholism, acute alcoholism. And I said, I don't want any of this stuff. So I just never got the taste for it.
good for you. But he and I drink Scotch whiskey, right? So, what was the most difficult thing for you to stay in Korea? What made you feel that, oh, I hate it, or it's so difficult? One thing.
I didn't hate it. You learned how to get by, you know, and by the time I left there, I had a different opinion of Korea. I was hoping that things would get a lot better, and it did. But other than walking guard duty, I used to get down in the ditch.
Mm-hmm.
I was 18, and I didn't, you know, and I just.
You didn't like it.
I didn't like being over there, but when I left, I didn't mind it at all.
Right. It's all done. Were there any attack from North Korean refugee or North Korean people while you serving in Korea, either in Gimpo or Baekneung-do?
When I was in, not Pyongyang, but whenever I was at Kimpo, I don't know what I don't know what caused it, but when something went wrong, they had a siren that went off,
Uh-huh.
And the siren went off one day, and we grabbed our carbines, and they made us go into there was a ditch by the comm center, a communication center, that was sandbagged, you know, and they made us go in there. And it didn't last long. We were there probably 2 hours. And they thought that somebody was coming across, but nothing ever happened.
Okay.
There was no shooting where we were at.
Were you able to write letter back to your family or friends?
Oh, yes.
Whom did you write to?
I had a girlfriend.
So tell me about her. What's her name?
Her name was Sue,
Yeah.
but while I was gone, she found somebody else.
Oh, that's too bad.
So I wrote to her, though, while I was over there, and then it wasn't until I got home that I found out she was engaged to somebody else.
Ah, yeah.
So it didn't bother me.
What did you write about?
About what I did, what I saw, just things like that, you know.
Yeah. And when did you leave Korea?
I left Korea, let's see, in August. I can't remember whether it was August or September
Oh, 55?
of 50, was it 55?
Yeah.
That must have been.
And since then, have you been back to Korea? Were you able to go back to Korea after that?
I could have, but I didn't.
You didn't. What about, do you know anything about Korean economy now?
Oh, yeah.
Did you see about the Korea Reborn book, right?
Yes, I've
Tell
seen
me,
that.
what do you know about the Korean economy now?
Oh, it's terrific. Not long ago, the president of LG was over here. He visited our club, told us a lot about it, but we already knew. Well, whenever I got back from Korea, I was stationed in Shreveport, Louisiana, at Barksdale Air Force Base, and it was in. By the time I got home, or by the time I got to that base, I was 17 by then. No, I was 18 by then. And I lose my train of thought. It was in August, July or August,
Yeah.
maybe September of 55.
Yes.
And I met my wife there. I had been there for 2 years, and met her, and we got married, and there another 2 years. Now they just got out.
Yeah.
Big mistake. Big mistake.
Why?
Oh, I should have stayed in. I had no reason to get out. And when I think, back then I thought I did. But now I think back, it was, I made just a big mistake.
So, What do you think about the Korean economy now? I mean, when you left Korea and when you were there, you already told me that it was terrible,
Oh, it
smelly,
was.
all destructed.
Yeah.
And when you left Korea, did you ever think that Korea would become like this today?
No, I didn't. But it was through the help of the United States that we helped South Korea build up. I've seen pictures since then of places that I were, and it's a completely different place. I should have gone back on a revisit program, but I just didn't. I didn't feel like I had the money at the time because I'd had to pay to fly over, you know. And but some of the pictures that I saw, it's beautiful. Seoul, especially, it's just beautiful. Big skyscrapers and things like that. It's just nothing like it was whenever I was over there.
What do you think about this? Before and after picture, right? It's the Korean War right there in the middle.
Yeah.
You went there, you saw Korea 70 years ago, almost 70 years ago.
Yeah.
It's the now 21st century. So much differences. What do you think about this?
Oh, it's a difference between night and day. It's amazing to me that they grew up like it is. But I think it's a great ally right now.
Absolutely.
It's a great country.
But as I talk with Eugene over the breakfast today, in the school or history classes, they don't talk much about the Korean War. They don't really teach about such transformation from ashes to one of the most strong economy in the world. Why? Why we don't teach about it?
Well, we have a program that
Tell America.
Tell America program, and we have a girl who is big on that, and she has taken videos of us, and she's shown it to the history class here in Crossville.
Who's her name?
Her name was Robin Pusini.
Ah,
She's a secretary. She's a great person,
yeah.
and she is really interested in things like that, you know. And she does a good job of going to the schools. Of course, now they won't let us in the schools, but she has made videos and taken over there to give to the history teacher, and he taught just from the video.
Yep.
So our kids are learning about Korea, how it was and how it is now.
That's why my foundation is doing this interview. And I gave the curriculum book to him this morning that we analyzed this interview by the teachers. And a lot of history teachers working with my foundation, and they write the curriculum book so that teachers in the classroom like across Bill can use that. You know, it's a smooth transfer from Tell America program to my foundation's curriculum book. And your interview will be also used sometime later, okay?
Oh, good.
And that's why we are doing this. So I'm so grateful that you mentioned about the Korea in 1950 and the Korea that you know, okay?
Right.
That's a very good thing that we need to tell our young generations about it. And that is your legacy, right? Do you
Sure.
agree? So are you proud to be a Korean War veteran?
Yes, I am. Yes.
So tell me about your chapter here in Crossville. How many Korean War veterans there? How often do you meet? What do you do?
Chapter 297 is Plateau chapter number 297, KWVA. We have, Gene, help me out here. How many people do we have right now?
I think there's 33 on the roster,
33 on the
so
roster.
we have about 15 active members.
Yeah. We meet every second Wednesday
Uh-huh.
of the month.
Right here.
And Gene says, yeah, we meet right here. And Gene says that we have about anywhere from 10 to 15 active members.
Uh-huh. Very good.
And
Do you want to go back to Korea?
I thought about it.
Yeah, why not?
well,
If you want to, let me know through Jin, okay? So that I can arrange this with the MPVA, Ministry of Patriots and Veterans Affairs. And, you know, we can arrange some kind of scholarship so that you don't have to pay anything, okay? Right?
that'd be great.
Yeah, you let me know. You have my phone number there, right? Yeah, and tell Jin so that Jin can talk to me.
Okay.
Yeah. When was the most rewarding moments during your service in Korea?
I guess it was one day the Secretary of Defense for the United States flew into Kimpo,
Oh,
and we got to go out on the flight line and to see him, you know.
uh-huh.
He didn't really go anywhere except there. He made a little speech, you know, to the Koreans. That and the fact that I got to see Debbie Reynolds just as close as we
Debbie
are.
Reynolds?
Debbie Reynolds.
So it was like a performance.
It was a USO show,
Oh, I got it.
and I got a picture of her, a good picture, and I've actually enlarged it. So I'm
Why
proud of
didn't you
that
bring
picture.
it?
Huh?
Why didn't you bring it to me?
I just didn't think.
Do you have many pictures with you about your service?
I have quite a few. I should have brought them, I guess.
Can you bring it to me tomorrow? Or to Jin?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that I can take a picture and I can publish that pictures with your interview in the website. So that how many children do you have and grandchildren?
I have 2 children. I'm sorry, I have one child. I had a girl, and I have 2 grandchildren.
So they can see in the website, in the internet. Okay, so
Oh yeah,
bring your pictures to him, okay? All right.
my daughter especially was interested in it, and she just couldn't. I showed her the pictures. I've got a bunch of slides, but I give them to her, and she's looking at them. And she's in Albuquerque, New Mexico.
In New Mexico.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So, but I do have an album with some pictures.
Yes, please.
Yes.
Any other actress that you liked in the USSO?
Oh, we saw. Let's see. We saw Debbie Reynolds. We saw. I guess it was Bob Hope.
Bob Hope, yes.
We got to see him. I guess that was
Okay.
it.
So this year is the 70th anniversary of the Korean War broke out.
Yes.
What do you think about this? That you didn't know anything about Korea. You are now Korean War veteran, and you saw Korea transform miraculously. Do you know the rank of Korean economy in the world economy, do you know? The rank of Korean economy in the world.
Probably the biggest.
11th largest economy in the world. Do you know the size of Korea, South Korea?
No, not really.
It's a little bit bigger than state of Iowa.
Okay.
It's a very small. Indiana, I'm sorry. But the Korean economy is number 11 in the world.
I know it wasn't a large place, but
That's the legacy of your service.
oh, I think that's amazing, though, that they've done that.
So don't you think that we have to teach about it?
Oh, absolutely. Sure.
Yeah. So, do you have any message to the Korean people in the 70th anniversary of the Korean War? What would you say to the Korean people?
I'd just like to thank them because they've done things for us too, you know.
Like what?
Like LG, for instance. They came and visited our club, and they gave us a check for $5,000. And I think that and the fact that we have gone to different places. Redstone Arsenal in Alabama they have what they call a legacy program about Korea, and it they just, you know, just thank them for all that they're doing and what they've done. Thank them for what they've done, and friendly people. Right now, every time we meet somebody from Korea, they're very friendly.
Mm-hmm.
There's two women in Clarksville, Tennessee. They have visited our club, and they're just as nice and friendly. So the people of Korea is friendly. Now, that we appreciate.
But you have done so much before, long time ago, when Korea was really in a difficult situation, very poor.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think this is more like a natural, that Korean people see you and other Korean War veterans as real friends. I'm not exaggerating. You know, this is
Okay.
what happened 70 years ago.
Sure.
And my wish is that we can talk more about it in the classroom,
Absolutely.
right?
The kids need to know about it.
That's right.
Yes.
Excellent. Any other episode you remember about your service in Korea that you want to share?
I don't know of any. I didn't get out much. I didn't do much.
How about kimchi? Do you eat kimchi now?
No. I hear tell it's good now, but I look at it as to what we had back then, and I could. We used to have a houseboy who came in and cleaned our tents. We lived in tents then, and he shined our shoes. He used to do our wash for us, washing our clothes, and we'd pay him.
How much did you pay him?
It was there's $1 a week, $1 a week,
Yeah.
and he would come. He would come to do our clean the brakes and this and that, and he's had that kimchi smell, and we'd send him home. Say, go home and brush your teeth. Oh, that kimchi was the worst.
Yeah. kimchi smell is very strong.
Yes.
But now people are eating kimchi because they believe that they can defeat the coronavirus. All right.
You can buy kimchi at the store at the restaurants now.
Here now?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. See? You should try before. Too late. Oh, Jim, it's been my pleasure and honor to meet you, sir, and thank you for sharing your story and your direct witness of Korea in 1950 and now is going to make a real big difference to the young generations in America.
Well, I hope that happens, and I want to thank you for the job you're doing also.
Thank you, sir. You are very nice. Very nice. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep.